It's Vancouver's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Robert Smile coming to you today with Vancouver's podcast, a member of the Canada's Podcast Network, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen here in Vancouver, British Columbia, so you can listen, discover, and engage. Today's guest is Wachell, the CEO and Chief Investment Officer, founding partner of Genus Capital. Wayne co-founded Genus Capital in 1989 and is the architect of the firm's investment process. Genus Capital is a pioneer in Canada's divest-invest movement and is home to Canada's first fossil-free mutual fund family. Well, Wayne, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking the time today to be here for all our listeners.
Good to be here.
Great. Okay, I want you to tell us a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and give us the details on your current business.
Okay. I was born in Winnipeg and grew up in northern Manitoba. And I think I got the entrepreneurial zeal from my father. He had a construction company, a gas station, and a restaurant. And so when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, I was pumping gas, changing tires, and helping do the payroll. So business, being an entrepreneur was early on in my life, and I'm still doing that thing. And so it's like I kind of been independent from day one, if you will. I started the firm in '89 with a couple of partners, and we started off with $7 million. We now have $1.5 billion. And a good chunk of that business is our fossil-free investments, where we invest monies for individuals and foundations that want to invest in sustainable investing. And I guess our tagline is that we can align your portfolios with your values and still help you achieve your investment goals. And we're very proud of our achievement. We think we're on the leading edge of green investing in Canada, and it's really helped put the firm on the map, I think, the past 4 or 5 years.
Okay, going back to 1989, did you need financing to start your company, and how do you currently make money in your business now?
Okay, well, the business, number one, is a very simple business. Investment counselors, they bill based on assets under management. And, for institutional clients, it's probably around 25, 30 basis points. For private, it's around 1% in that range there. So it's very simple. You simply look at the asset under management, and you apply, a billing rate to that. So it's a very simple business from that perspective in terms of getting revenues. And your talent is where you spend all the money. We started the firm in '89, and we had $400,000 of financing that we needed to get off the ground, and that we broke even after a couple of years. It was an interesting experience. We started off with $7 million, and we picked up some new business, and about 3-4 months later, we were at $15 million, and we were paying for some of our expenses, a good chunk of our expenses, and we bought somebody's book of around $10 million. We were at $25 million. Thought, man, this is pretty easy. After 6 months, we're doing pretty good. We're paying our space expenses. Our salaries aren't covered yet, but we're doing pretty good. Well, we never got any business for a year after that. And so it took us a while to get off the ground, but every quarter we would actually tally up our revenue and look at our burn rate and count how many months we have left before we have to fold up. And one day we just got a phone call from somebody, a former client, which was $15 million, and that happened after 2 years, and we went to $40 million, and then got a bigger account of around a pension account of around $40 million. Once we got through $100 million, we stopped doing our quarterly count, and we had enough to cover us, and we got a lot of respect because people saw we were going to succeed. But it was the first 2-3 years were pretty interesting in terms of every quarter we counted our cash flow, looked at our burn rate, and said, I think we got down to about 1 year left of burn, and after a couple of years we stopped counting. And but the business is, from a business model perspective in terms of revenue is pretty straightforward. You simply bill based on your revenues, based on your AUM or assets under management, and most of your money's got to pay your talent.
Okay, what is the long-term vision, and what will your company look like in the future? Do you see the company expanding into other areas, and where beyond Vancouver, BC, or even Canada?
Well, we have got a good lead in Canada in the sustainability space. We'd like to, if we're going to compete longer term, we have to get some global customers, international customers, because we're dealing with international competition. So we'd like to get some US customers, some European customers, and become more of a global manager in that space, as well as move right now we're more divesting. We want to move into a bigger way into the impact space. That's investing in money in investments that are making a difference, that are more mission-based in the marketplace. So it's a further extension of the whole divestment process, or divestment movement into the good guys, if you will.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about doing business in Vancouver and what that looks like for you. What are the biggest benefits for you in being an entrepreneur here in Vancouver, BC? I want you to give us some of the good points about starting a company here, but I also want you to give us some of the tough things or challenges for our listeners so they can keep an eye out for them.
I think the good thing is that I think it's easy to attract talent here. A lot of Vancouverites go away to Toronto, New York. They all want to come back home. People want to come from other parts of Canada and come here. So I think getting talent here is an advantage being in Vancouver, just because it's a great place to live. That's a big plus, I believe. And some of the disadvantages, I would say, it's kind of a closed community at least from our perspective. We manage 1.5 billion. There's other bigger firms in town that manage 20, 30 billion. And it's I'm not sure what the old saying is. A prophet's never respected in his own town. You kind of have to go away and make it big in Toronto before you're accepted in Vancouver. So it's kind of a closed set from my perspective but first you have to make it in Toronto before you can be accepted here. And that's one of the things that we've been dealing with over the years. And so the community doesn't treat, I think it's local talent as well, maybe as it should, but that's the realities of life.
Okay. Let's talk about how you think about your business. We do some of our best work outside the office. Is there a place in the Lower Mainland, close to where you live or work, where you like to go recharge or get inspired with ideas or just think about your business? And does it change with the season, considering all the rain we get here?
Yeah. Well, there's two things that I do that keep me sane. And one thing is I play tennis. I play tennis 3 or 4 times a week. And tennis is a combination of exercise and meditation. So when you're out there slugging the ball, only play singles, slug the ball for an hour and a half, you're totally focused on this little yellow object. It's a form of meditation. And it really helps me. My wife can tell when I haven't played tennis because I'm getting grumpy, and she kicks me out of the house. And the second thing that really settled me down is my yard. I live by a creek. We have a big lot, and I go work in the creek bed, bushwhacking, working in the riparian, bushwhacking, building paths, building structures, supporting cliffs, and those kinds of things. And it's just, my wife always gardened. I never did, never liked it. But for some reason, I got into the creek bed, into the wild, near the running stream. I just fell in love with that. I can be down there for 3 hours and think it's 1 hour. And I come back, I'm totally relaxed. I can be tired. I go down to the creek bed, start working. And whether that's the running water or the oxygen down there, or whatever it is, I come back totally recharged. So those are two things that keep me centered and keep me sane.
Okay, we have a lot of international listeners, so this next question, I want you to speak to them. If you were to start all over again and you just moved here to Vancouver, BC, but this time you don't know anyone, knowing what you know now, what would you do and how would you go about starting all over again as an entrepreneur?
Well, one thing I think was to do it different would be to focus more of a niche. I think especially today, even more so than when we started, you have to be seen as doing something well and get in that niche and focus on it. And I think you need a longer runway as well in terms of cash flow to get off the ground, probably 3 or 4 years before you really recognize something. So number one, have more of a niche. And also I think I would make more of a commitment to technology and building technology, knowing what I know now, knowing how technology has become so important. But it's always been a big, important part of our product offering, and what we've had to do is build technology. But I think I would even do more of it now and make a real commitment to technology.
Okay, what does the first hour look like for you when you get up in the morning? Do you have a specific routine or a ritual that helps you get motivated, start your day?
Yeah, I get up and I hit the gym first thing. I get up and hit the gym first thing. I hit the gym at least for 20 minutes to half an hour every day. Even if I play tennis, whatever, I hit the gym first. I get up, I do stretching. I go through a lightweight routine to limber up my body and just to work on my core, doing planks. That's something I do every day. Every morning I get up, I do something.
Okay, do you think entrepreneurs have to be weird or unique in a positive way or are wired differently?
Yes, I think they do. I think being an entrepreneur, there's lots of ups and downs. And I think you always have to see the glass half full. And you really do, because you have to solve problems. You'll have a crisis. There's always a crisis around the corner. And you have to overcome that crisis and solve problems and be creative. And so I think that's the thing about being an entrepreneur is you figure out a way to innovate, to solve problems, and you have to be a bit different. I think you have to have some mental toughness about you, and it's as being an entrepreneur I love it. It's great. There's lots of ups and lots of downs. And I think one of the things that I've learned after all these years is that things are never going as good as you think they are when they're going very well, and they're never as bad as they are when you're in a trough kind of thing. And that's what I think. So I don't get too excited when I'm at a peak or at a trough, and I know that things will come around again. I just got to keep focusing, moving my feet. That's one of my sayings. Is keep moving your feet. Good things will happen. It's like in basketball. And things do come around.
Okay, what books are you reading now and why, or even audiobooks? And can you recommend any books for our listeners who are also aspiring entrepreneurs?
Okay, well, my job is to study the world. I'm an investment counselor, and so I'm always curious about cultural shift and geopolitics. And I'll just give you the latest 3 books. Let me just pull the third one out here. I read the last 3 books I read in this folder. I'll recommend a 4th book before I give you these 3 here. The one book I would really highly recommend would be called The Accidental Superpower. I read it about 2 years ago, and really it's on geopolitics and talks about a lot of the trends in the world today. I don't have the author on me, but I would really highly recommend it. It's called The Accidental Superpower, and it's about empires and geopolitics, and how the geology has a big impact on those.
Okay, any online or offline tools that you like to use on a daily basis?
No, I'm plugged into. I have my own systems, my proprietary systems, and I have. And I'll just give you my other 3 books here, if you care. That I just
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Just care reading. I read one of the things I've been studying is trying to understand is the culture and the big political divide kind of thing. I read Stephen Harper's Right Here, Right Now book. I found very insightful in helping understand the Brexit movement and the Trump movement. And then I just finished a book called Springtime for Snowflakes, Social Justice and Its Postmodern Parentage by a guy called Michael Rechtenwald, who's a professor at Columbia. Interesting about what's going on campuses and what we're seeing on I guess you would say the far left. And I just finished The Story of the Blockchain by Omid Melikan. I'm just talking about different cryptocurrencies, so I have to understand those a lot more in my business. But I'm trying to understand, I like geopolitics, history, and anything on the culture is what I don't read much fiction. I tend to read more history and what's going on in the world right now.
Okay, if you were doing what you do now, what would you like to do for a profession?
I think I would be I might be in science somewhere. I like studying things like research, like modeling, building models, for example. would have to be something in somewhere creative because that's what I do. And I just, being an entrepreneur is great. Being in the investment markets is also, it's always stimulating. The world's changing. I study the world. The world is my oyster. And I get to study it full time. So it would have to be something I'd say more in the science realm where I'm studying something or whatever.
What kind of a job would you not like to do? Couldn't do it?
I think being a lawyer, being a lawyer who has to read a lot of documents. I don't know how they do that. That's special talent to do that. I couldn't do that.
Okay, in business, what is your favorite word, quote, or sentence that you like to use?
Oh, I would say, well, to me, it's if whenever there's a mistake made, for example, I would say, let's make this a learning, make this a learning moment. Like, what have we learned from our mistakes? I also use words like, what's the business model? What's the process? What's the structure of this? I try to understand forms and structures, I guess. So I talk about disciplines as well. Those are some of the things that I think that I use a lot in my business language.
What is your least favorite word or sentence you do not like to hear?
Well, in business, I don't like negative speech or negative thoughts. I just think it can creep into your conversations. I'm always thinking positive. I want to be positive, and I think it's something I learned from my father is that you've got to forgive people if they make mistakes, make it a learning experience. And I just don't like negativity in my workplace. And I'm fortunate that I work in a great place, and the team that I work with are always focused on the task at hand and getting performance is our goal. We try and understand where we're dropping the ball, where we're making mistakes, and trying to improve the process. So it's always about improving our process. We're very process driven.
If you had to pick one or two words to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
Well, I think I'm creative because I have to understand a lot of different things. I think I'm almost very focused. And I think I'm very focused and I think disciplined. I'm process driven. I'm focused on what gets performance. And also what I have to do, I think often too many entrepreneurs focus on too many things. Like they say, you should focus on 2 or 3 things that are important and ignore the ones that are not, because after a while, no one will care about them anyways. That's been my experience. Is focus on, in terms of my organization and my team, I have to focus on the top 2 or 3 things that really will move the organization forward. And that's what I tend to do. And I think I'm good at that. I'm very focused in that perspective. Okay.
Anything keep you up at night?
When I don't get performance, I can lose some sleep, but I've gotten better at that over the time. I used melatonin for years during the 2008 Great Recession. That was really a rough go there. I thought the whole system might go down. I had many sleepless nights, but I used melatonin during that period. I got 5 hours of melatonin-induced sleep, and it helped me get through the crisis.
Okay, I want you to give us the top 3 things on your inspired life list. This could be whether you want to do a TEDx talk, you want to travel more, write a book, philanthropy, anything like that?
I'd say my number one thing I want to do for the rest of my career and focus on is artificial intelligence applications around investing. And by nature, I've got a very scientific background. We have a quantitative investment process. The next level for us is artificial intelligence. And I'm definitely keen in that area. I've been looking at it for years. I want to build more applications there. It's where the world is going, where we all have to go. And that's going to be my effort to the end of my career. Also, I want to play Masters tennis. Whenever I retire, I want to go play on the Masters tennis tour and chase a bunch of tennis balls down when I have more time. But I don't have the time right now. I want to spend more time with my wife too, I guess, longer term. The big thing for me in my career now is AI, and next thing will be playing Masters tennis on my bucket list. I've traveled quite a bit around the world. I want to do some of that. I want to see Scandinavia and some of Russia maybe, but I've done a lot of traveling already, so it's not my bucket list.
Okay, do you have any advice that you may have received that you can pass on to entrepreneurs throughout British Columbia?
I would say I learned a lot from my father, believe it or not. Just One thing he always did, he always forgave mistakes and made them into a learning opportunity. He would always pitch in if there was a job to get done that had to get done that was critically important. He would pitch in, and even if it was a labor-driven job, he'd help the whole team get the job done. So when you have to pitch in, and help your team to get the job done. And I think also you have to know your whole business model. Understand your whole process. I think too many CEOs operate at 40,000 feet and don't understand some of the processes. And you've got to show that you can actually understand some of those. And that's I think a really important thing. Those are some of the advice I would be. And another thing too is just stay centered, focus, keep moving your feet. Good things will happen if you keep moving your feet. And things aren't usually as bad as they seem, and are not as great as they seem. And you'll overcome your issues. And if you're an entrepreneur, I enjoy getting into pickles and getting out of pickles. It's what you do. It's what you have to do. You have to be creative. And it's not all a straight line. There's things you have to overcome and challenges, and it's part of the business. And
you have to kind of condition yourself for that too, I would guess.
Yeah, you do. That's why I think staying physically fit is very important to me. If you're a successful entrepreneur, you can make a lot of money. You can make as much money as an athlete, for example. And so you've got to keep yourself fit and in shape. It helps your mental acuity as well. When I started my business after 3 or 4 years, I was working 15 hours a day, and I burned out. I hit the wall. And after I almost took a year off. I had to slow down for a year effectively, and discovered that if I'm not in physical shape and not healthy, I'm no good to my business or my family. And so it's always been, for me, since then, it's always been take care of your health and your fitness, and if you want to succeed in business.
Okay, Wayne, are you ready to have some fun?
Sure.
Okay, as you know, entrepreneurs are very, very busy people, always on the go, traveling. We're on the phone with clients, texting, messages, online, you name it. We're going to take you away from all that. There's a small tropical island just off of Fiji that only has one phone booth there. There is no internet. This place does exist. We're going to drop you off there. You won't have a computer or smartphone or a tablet. You can use the phone booth located there anytime to call the boat, and we'll come pick you up. How long would you last before you made that call? And what would you do while you were there?
Well, what I would do, I think initially is, I've been on an island for a month before, and after a month I was ready to, I got island fever, I had to go home. I wanted to go home badly. So I think what I would tell you is, come pick me up in a month, and I will cut the cord, because I don't want to have to deal with the markets when I'm aware of the markets or what's going on in the markets. And I would just chill out. I think I'd lay on the beach for the first week and let my mind turn to mush. And after the first week, I'd probably getting involved, start working on my body, getting back in shape, and just resting, relaxing, reading a lot of books. I bring a stack of books with me, just read books for a month, and exercise. And if there's a tennis court, I play tennis, of course. But I think I could do that for a month and come back fit, well-read, and relaxed.
Okay, good. So a little bit of intellectual, a little bit of physical. Come off the island well-rested with some more knowledge and better physical conditioning. That's
what I do for holidays typically, is I use it as a means to recharge my batteries, my physical being and my mental being as well, and come back recharged.
Okay, Wayne, we're going to wrap things up. How can our listeners get hold of you? Is there anything you'd like to add before you leave us today?
I would just say you can go look up through LinkedIn and check out our Genus Capital website or Genus Fossil Free website, and just watch out for us. We think we're doing a lot of good things in the green space, making a difference, I believe, and really enjoyed talking with you today.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm sure our listeners have as well.